Hello, and thank you for joining us. To say that the month of August has been nothing but a joke is not an exaggeration. Every day it seems like we're given nothing but some goddamn hilarious news stories. So much so that we at GDN have decided to dedicate this month into covering what has to be the funniest events ever. I'm Brian Phillips, and you're watching the goddamn news. Starting off, a moment of silence for the platform formerly known as Twitter. To say things went from bad to worst is only the beginning, as the infamous platform experienced some of the funniest changes ever made thanks to the new owner, Elon Musk. For those of you who aren't glued to the platform, the rebrand resulted in the death of Twitter and will now just be known as X. Just the letter X. So now when you share a video, it will no longer be a Twitter video, you'll now be sharing an X video. And if you know, you know. I wish that's all I had to say, but it just gets goofier, as the platform with such a cool name, the rebrand introduces a new tagline, which I you not, has to come straight from the buried anime files of 4Kids. The official tagline is Blaze Your Glory, and I'm having trouble figuring out what the hell that means. If there was an award for being the biggest nerd, the most uncool person in the world, Elon just won it, now until 2030 at least. For all those children out there who cringe every time their parents try to act cool and hip, no, your embarrassment can't be any worse than what the children of Elon must feel on a daily basis. One of which is also named X. Seriously, I don't know what that man's fetish is with the letter X, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's fighting Bill Gates on the sideline in hopes of buying the rights to Xbox. So this next story is a bit of a controversy, but nevertheless is funny as hell. A zoo in China faced backlash questioning whether or not the sun bear in captivity was real, or just a man in a bear costume. Right here is a photo of the bear for y'all to form your own opinions on the matter. Obviously, the zoo denies it's fake, but they've yet to back up this claim with any actual evidence. To be fair, I don't know how you'd prove whether or not a bear is real, as most people would just avoid it if they saw one regardless. Using some CSI analysis when comparing the photo of the bear from the zoo to a Google image of a sun bear, you'll notice these similarities when they stand and how the grill marks on the ass appear to be canon. Most people would say a bear costume this realistic is impossible. For one, it'd be expensive as hell, and two, what would the motivation be for someone to do this? And normally I'd agree with you. That was until I saw this next story where a man spent nearly 15 grand to live his dream of being a dog. So comparing this story from Japan to the one in China, the fact that it is possible to make an animal costume this realistic, and the fact that there are some crazy sons of bitches out there who pursue stuff like this on a daily basis, makes a decent argument that the sun bear in question could be a man in cosplay. Either way, both are just downright goofy. Meg 2 released in theaters, and to no one's surprise, flopped harder than any Magikarp. I've already seen this film, and as a completely biased news source, will tell you it's probably the stupidest film this year. Not just because of the bad acting, but there is significant evidence to prove that the whole movie was written by AI. Here we have an example from ChatGPT, and while it's hard to know whether or not this was created for, or as a result of Meg 2, if you've seen the film, you'll recognize these similarities. While we're on the subject of sharks, Cocaine Bear has some competition, as there's been a recent epidemic of sharks getting hopped up on the devil's dandruff. Scientists have called this phenomenon crazy brain, and as a result, I did Hollywood's job and decided to cash grab on this story and already had ChatGPT write me a script for the movie. Before we continue, let's take a look at our city of the day. Hawaii. This next story involves politics, and I'm not trying to get political here, but this had me laughing so hard because of how goddamn awful this take was. Mike Pence released what has to be the funniest advertisement I've seen so far.
Hey everybody, Mike Pence here. Remember $2 a gallon gas? I do. And then Joe Biden became president of the United States and launched his war on energy. Since that time, gasoline prices are up 60%. Electricity prices are up 25%. Joe Biden's war on energy is causing real hardship for working families, small businesses, and family farms. But we've got a plan to relieve all of that. Join us in the fight for American energy leadership by going to MikePence2024.com. We can lead the world once again.
That ringing in your ears is normal because this ad made me want to lead Mike back to the old folks' home and figure out in what universe you don't have to pay for gas. If you haven't figured it out already, then you probably don't pump your own gas either. Throughout his entire campaign, and yes, I did trim the video, you can hear the beeping from the pump telling this man to put his card in. I agree things were better when gas prices were low, but never in my life do I recall a time when you didn't have to pay for gas. And if that wasn't funny enough, the quality of the whole video feels like something a middle schooler would make for a class project. The lack of sound and video editing for a legitimate political campaign is baffling embarrassing. Son of a bitch, I just realized the man didn't even select what grade of fuel he wanted. This isn't a one-size-fits-all like a condom company will lie to men about. You have to select what gas you need that fits the size of your car. It just started raining, so apologies for the lighting in the background. I'm about to name drop something you probably haven't heard in a while, and if you're like me, we're lucky enough to not know about them until now. The Island Boys. I'm not going to talk about their success because frankly, no one cares and they don't deserve any kind of praise. All you need to know is they fell off and for years tried to come up with ways to climb back into the spotlight. And that's when they recently came up with this shining star of a brilliant idea to get people talking about them again. Considering I'm talking about them in this video, you probably realized that last statement was sarcasm. There's no exaggeration to this. They've returned to the public eye because of a video involving them making out, and just now as I'm talking about this, released an oral sex video. If you can't tell already, the Island Boys are brothers. And so I'm probably going to get copyrighted for this next part, but there's truly no better way to sum up this whole situation. A month ago, a video went viral after a lady on an airplane had a massive freakout, claiming the person she was sitting next to was some sort of lizard man.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now, that back there is not real.
However, the main purpose of this story is after the video went viral, she went missing, to which a couple of days ago was found and came back into the spotlight stating she enjoyed the memes. I just thought it'd be nice to sprinkle in a bit of good news on top of a funny incident, as she could have been a complete Karen and demanded people to remove her from the face of the internet. A couple of devious thieves hatched this mastermind of a plan to steal an ATM using a forklift. Outside Sacramento, you see Beavis and Butthead pulling up to where the machine is located. Now, you'll want to focus on the forklift to your right. You can't miss it. It looks like a forklift. Robbery may be one thing, but the driver clearly wants to be remembered as the brains behind the greatest heist in history. A brief pause as he looks over the plans that were obviously written in crayon. And then he shifts into maximum overdrive and knocks that bitch down. Now comes the truck driver into play. He backs that ass up into proper position as it's about to hold the entire weight of an ATM on its caboose. Now, it wasn't a straightforward plan as the two initially intended. There were definitely a few hiccups. For starters, the forklift driver seems to have learned his skills from Peter Griffin, and he repeatedly stabs the machine over and over before finally lifting it off the ground. Then all of a sudden, a spectator shows up, something they couldn't have accounted for even though an ATM is open 24/7. They briefly watch, then wisely drive away, and what I can only hope happened next involved them being a good Samaritan and calling the cops to report what they just saw. The two goofballs eventually succeed and drive away with the ATM, but fail to secure it. And according to news reports, the machine fell off a couple of miles up the road, causing a car accident. Thankfully, the damage was minor and no one got seriously hurt, but nevertheless was a damn funny attempt at a massive heist. And now for the weather.
Everything's on fire!
And our final story. Irrelevant News Network mocked for publishing an article about the proper use of neopronouns. According to CNN, neopronouns are used to refer to people whose gender identities don't fall under male or female. The use of such terms, the Human Rights Campaign say, is especially popular in the autistic community. Well, as a member of the autistic community, I don't know what kind of bullshit the Human Rights Campaign is pulling out of their ass, but I'm here to tell y'all that's not f***ing true. CNN's list of pronouns include implications such as they, zeer, a, ear, and fey, fair. If this sounds funny, that's because it is, and I've been making the same joke for years. Looks like it could be a zayzin with two Z's and an X. This whole story is a prime example of what happens when people take something that's meant for comedy way too seriously. And this big blunder by CNN has the majority of people, myself included, laughing at them. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure to leave a like and comment down below. I'm Brian Phillips, and this has been The Goddamn News.